what I would tell anybody. An addiction, somebody who's in prison, is a lot different than you living with someone who has an addiction. That's the hardest thing to deal with, because I felt like I was doing a drug with him. I felt like I was getting delusional with him.
Welcome to More Than an Inmate's Girlfriend. I'm your host, Jay, and we are on the third episode of our series on betrayal for April. This one is a little bit different. We've picked guests that are all a little bit different and have a little bit different stories to keep it a little bit more interesting and see how different perspectives and different things happen. This one's really heartbreaking because post-incarceration is when things changed. So you'll get to hear NB's story, and I think she gives a really raw portrayal of what could happen and how, unfortunately, drugs and addiction come into play and how it can deeply affect someone. Before we get into it, just a few things to note. The first thing, I want to give a shout out to my husband. He has recently found out that he's been published in the National Lawyers Guild newsletter that comes out, I believe, 2 or 3 times a year. He was so excited. And the best part about it was that Penelope, who was in a previous episode, was the one that reached out to us and told us that he was published before we even knew that he was published. So it was really fun because I got to tell him, hey, babe, you're published in the National Lawyers Guild. And he didn't even believe it. He was like, no, that couldn't have happened. And it did. So if any of your loved ones receive the National Lawyers Guild, you can read an article from Nick. I believe it's entitled Retaliation for Book and Podcast. I believe that's what it's called. I think it's on page 13 and 14. Anyway, it's a long article. It talks about my podcast, talks about his book, talks about what was happening and the lawsuit that he wants to file for it. So super interesting read. I highly encourage you guys to read it, or your loved ones, I should say, or if you receive it, that'd be cool. And yeah, very cool that one of our previous guests' boyfriends is the person that led us to it. So we thought that was really fun. Yeah, so if you want to give it a listen, I haven't seen it yet. I haven't read it myself. So I'm shouting him out and congratulating him because I'm really excited for him. You know, as loved ones of people that are incarcerated, it's hard sometimes for them to feel accomplished and feel like they're making waves or they're doing something. And Nick is really on this positive journey. And even though his prison might not believe it, I'm really proud of him for focusing his energies on positive things. So it's very exciting. The other thing that I wanted to give a shout out for is there's a group on Facebook that we have posted on. It's like a scammers group. Some people were asking us about, in the previous episode, Nicole was talking about seeing like the groups and whatever. And before that, Emily was talking about groups. And there is a lot of Facebook groups that you can explore. And there are some dedicated to people that are scamming women or people that are cheating. And this particular group is called Prison Pen Pal Scams / Cheaters Exposed. Is this your inmate? ? So if you guys want to go check that out, again, it's Prison Pen Pal Scams / Cheaters Exposed. Is this your inmate ? They're a Facebook group and people tend to post and see if their loved ones are talking to other people or not. So yeah, super cool. Check it out. There's a few, but that's one of the ones that we use. I think use is a kind of a strong word, but yeah, so there's that. Other than that, next week we have a break in the series, and we didn't want to do this because we do like this April series, but we do have a very cool guest that we're interviewing. His name is Christopher Willers. So his social media is Christopher_life_Willers, and gave us this really great interview. I'm sure most of you, if not all of you, know who he is. He gives a lot of great insights, and I really wanted to pull some questions and talk to him about stuff that maybe he hasn't spoken on already, and more so on the relationships that he had while he was incarcerated and the different women in his life. That'll be next week. So we're going to do a little interruption on the series just for you guys to hear his interview because it's great and he's a huge influencer. So we really wanted to get it out as soon as possible, and it was a great interview. So expect that next week. Then we'll go on to officials. Also great interview. Official story is crazy. You're going to hear from her the following week. She will continue and she will end the series for now on betrayal. And she has a 2-part episode. So her episode is actually so long that I'm going to split it up into 2 parts. So it'll go into May. Lots and lots of exciting things going on here. Lots of really cool interviews. A lot of really great people are reaching out. I also wanted to say that we are really behind on interviews. So you might have already had an interview. Like some people we've interviewed months ago and we haven't had a chance to release it. It doesn't mean we're not releasing it. It means that we're really backed up and there's a lot of people that we are interviewing. I promise you your podcast will be on if you are a guest, if we have recorded. I have yet to not want to post an interview. It's just the timing, and that's why we've switched to the once a week posting. Last thing I wanted to mention is we are going to have an interview coming up also from a lovely woman. We just spoke to her earlier today, and I wanted to bring up her interview as well because her significant other was in a documentary, and that documentary is coming up again on April 29th. I believe it's April 29th, and on Animal Planet. And I wanted to mention that in case anybody's interested in seeing her significant other's episode before we interview about the experience, because she actually saw the documentary and that's how she met him. So the TV show documentary is called Louisiana Lockdown, and he is on episode 2 called Prison Suicide. It was filmed in 2012. The other thing is that if you have Discovery Plus, it's also available on there. Apparently, I haven't gone to look, but I recently got Discovery Plus. I'm not a big TV watcher, but someone told me I had to watch 90 Day Last Resort. So I did get it last week when I wasn't feeling well. So yeah, I'm about to be watching that when we have a second to breathe. I do plan on watching that Louisiana Lockdown because, yeah, I think that's really neat. It's how she met him and it's an interesting story, and that will be coming up in the next couple months too. So give that a listen if you're curious. And other than that, everything's going great for AJ and I. We appreciate you guys. We love the feedback and we love that you're sharing it. So please continue to share and post and help us grow the community. Our TikTok is at More Than an Inmate's GF, and our Instagram is at podcast_prisongf. And we do have a Facebook too that we don't really use, but social media is hard. Like, nod with me, please. It is hard. Anyways, with that, thank you again, and I will let you get on to NB's episode. Enjoy. Welcome. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you for having me.
So excited to have you and hear your story. Do you want to start us off by telling me how you met your husband?
Yes. So back in 2021, I had gone on to a dating site called POS, which was Plenty of Fish. I was getting out of a 4-year, very odd relationship. I went on there and a guy had viewed me and I was like, this guy's in prison. So I had messaged him and I was like, are you in prison? And he had told me, yeah, but don't let that take your chance because I could be the love of your life. I was like, so we started talking. We were exchanging messages back and forth. And here I'm CDCR in California. At that time, there wasn't tablets, so everything was 15-minute phone calls. Whenever he was able to buy like phone time, he used a phone and stuff like that. So he kept on telling me that he wanted to call me. I'm not a weirdo. So I didn't give him my actual number. I gave him text free. I ended up telling him like the story 2-3 weeks after why I did it. He started calling me and things just started from there.
And what was it about him that you liked?
He was very different than anybody I've ever been with. I have a son who's autistic. My son's almost 9 now. He was very interested to know about my son. He wanted to know a lot of things about my life, like what I've gone through. I've been through a lot of stuff in my life. My son's dad abused me physically and mentally. I've been through a lot of stuff in my life. That's what really interests me about him, that He wanted to know a lot of things. About a month later, he had told me, if you give me the opportunity, I would love to raise your son. So it was something different, knowing somebody behind walls, talking to someone through phone, letters. You're not physically being with a person. It's not somebody who you're knowing off the street. So it's a different relationship for sure.
100%. He built this safe zone for you where you felt not judged and accepted, and he built that foundation of your relationship nicely.
He actually did, because when I came into the relationship, every relationship I've been with, I was always very insecure about myself. He made me be this person, which I am now, where I'm very confident about myself. I can look at myself in the mirror and I'll tell you I'm a very beautiful person, but that's something he did help me, make me feel good about myself. You're a queen. You're a beautiful person. Never let any other man make you ever feel down of yourself. Aww. So that's why I'm that strong foundation now, because of him. And then also he actually got me where he had to get me to accept my son that was autistic. My biggest thing was for me to accept a child that I brought into this world that I couldn't fix. And he was able to teach me that. And now I'm that motherly person now to my son, and I've accepted him because he taught me those.
Oh my gosh. This is supposed to be a bad story, and this is just sounding so nice.
I know, right?
I'm like, wow, what a nice human. It's about to turn at some point, but I'm afraid. How was it different? You spoke on it a little bit already, but did you find dating someone who's incarcerated versus not?
I think if you're not sleeping with the person, every relationship out here, dating is so weird nowadays. I would go on dates and these men wanted to sleep with me. They wanted me to send them all these X-rated pictures. I feel like when you're with somebody incarcerated, you can't really do that. You might be able to have like phone sex and send spicy pictures or whatever, but you're not physically having sex with the person.
It's such a different world compared to dating free men in real life. It really is horrible, the dating scene right now.
Yeah, I remember. I've gotten a couple stories and I'm just like, oh my God, I'd rather be by myself.
Right? If me and my husband don't work out, I'm done. I'm over it. It's not happening. I'm not going to the streets again. No. So did you find it hard to maintain your connection with him while he was incarcerated?
No, I think it was hard because where he was at, he was in California. He finished his term up in Salinas Valley, which is in Northern California. There were a lot of lockdowns. Sometimes he couldn't get onto the 15-minute phone call, so he would try to call me. We would do about 3-4 letters a week. The most he would ever go would be like 2 days without calling me. And he would tell me, hey, this is what's going on. We're in lockdown. They're not allowing us to get on the phone. I originally tried to visit. I started at every 2 weeks, and then I was going every week after that.
Oh, wow. When you first met him, how much time did he have left?
He was supposed to have 2 to 3 years, but he only ended up doing a year and a half after that. He did an 8-year term. He was able to get his high school diploma in there, and he got some college credits. The goal was that he wanted to come early for his son's graduation, which he came in a year early before his son graduated. When he met me, he was always getting into fights. He was doing stuff that he wasn't supposed to, and he wanted to change his ways because he had a reason to come home. His family wasn't there for him at all. Nobody really came to visit him. It was just me and my mom who came to visit him, making sure he had a store, he had money in his books. It's like we were his only foundation. When you're in those hardest moments, I feel like that's who you know who's really there for you.
Agreed. Totally agree. So it sounds like you guys really had a reciprocating relationship where he gave you all this confidence and built the trust and foundations and cared about your son, and then you were able to give him a family that he didn't have and got him out a little bit earlier. It sounds like it was Mick, I guess, leading up until he got out. How was it? Was it good up until the end, up until he was released?
I had seen some signs towards the end. He's a narcissist. So he was a very insecure, toxic person and very controlling and very overprotective. Towards the end, I was already married to him. He was getting out, and I was like, man, I can't even, if I tell him I'm going to leave him, he's probably just going to end up just not even wanting to leave, and he's going to end up just dead in prison. He had me. This was probably about 4 or 5 months before he got out.
Oh, when you got married was 4 or 5 months, or when you started seeing signs?
I started seeing signs like 4 or 5 months after he got out. He proposed to me 4 months in. We got married within the first year.
Wow. Was there a reason or just love?
In California, we get controls, which is family visits, but with close custody. So there wasn't a reason. He wanted to give me what I wanted because I told him that the next man who's going to live with me, I want to be married to him. I won't sleep with a guy who I'm not married with. So I wanted things done like the right way, and he was willing to give me what I wanted.
Okay, so you guys were going to get married, and then when he was going to be released, he was supposed to go live with you.
Yes, that is correct.
That was the plan. So you started seeing these signs of narcissism 4 to 5 months before he got out, and you'd ignored them?
Yeah, I did because I was already married to him and I really loved him. He was really good to my son and anything that I really needed, he always made sure we had. He was basically my best friend. I could talk to him whenever there was something wrong. He knew when something was bothering me. We knew each other from left and right. We could never hide anything from each other. I think the biggest thing is what I would tell a lot of people is a relationship with someone incarcerated versus them coming home. It's very different because they have to adapt. And then also, like, it's easier you just hanging up on the person. Me and him were very angry people, so we would get into each other's faces. We would yell, calling each other's names. I'm 5'3", he's 6'1".
Oof.
So I think that's the biggest thing that I would tell somebody. The relationship's a little bit more easy because you can hang up on the person, you can say, F you, you're done. You can't say that now.
Right.
Now, if I got a person, he's going to come to my house.
When you were thinking he was going to come out and live with you, did you think it was going to be all sunshine and rainbows, or did you anticipate having problems?
No, when he got out, we had everything all planned out. I did his dress out. He rolled out with about 13 pairs of Nikes and Jordans. He had a lot of clothes. I had a truck that I ended up gifting to him. We actually had to drive to Reno because his counselor was supposed to transfer his case, and she didn't end up doing that. So we came out to Sacramento because that's where he pulled out, and that's where I was living. We had within 24 hours, we had to drive out to check in with probation. I thought everything coming out okay. I took time off work for a couple months, so I said, well, I'm going to get him adjusted, figure out what he needs to do, help him get a job, live the dream that we talked about in our letters. We would build a family. We would go on vacation. We wanted to buy a house. We wanted to build businesses. We had a lot of things we wanted to do. But unfortunately, addiction is the worst thing ever, and this is what I would tell anybody. An addiction, somebody who's in prison, is a lot different than you living with someone who has an addiction. That's the hardest thing to deal with because I felt like I was doing the drug with him. I felt like I was getting delusional with him.
Did you know he had a drug addiction when you met him?
Yes, when we met, he was very honest with me. Within a month, he sent me his paperwork. I did his paperwork since juvenile. And you know what he went in for. And he did tell me, look, I've been an addict, but I've been clean for a couple years. I never saw signs of him using or anything like that. He was always a happy person, super positive. I never felt like he was on drugs. So I wouldn't be able to tell you, okay, he was on it when he was in prison. Maybe he used it prior to knowing me. But yeah, I did know about his addiction.
And did you know that it had affected other relationships?
Yes. I did know that he was married previously, and he did explain to me that it had ruined his first marriage, and also, too, he used to drink a lot, too.
So it sounds like he was honest with you, and you knew his history before he came out. It really sounds like you guys had a very solid plan in place. You were ready to have him home, you were giving space, taking time off work, you had the vehicles. It sounds like everything was planned. Like you did a really good job of trying to plan out as best as you could his release.
I would say, yeah, we try to plan everything. But I feel like the biggest thing was that it took him a really hard time to come out to society. He would struggle a lot. He would tell me, like, I don't want to be here. I want to be back in prison. And I'm like, why? It was hard because his second term, he went in longer this time. I would always have to go to the store with him. We were always together. A lot of things he didn't know how to do by himself, so I would handle a lot of things for him. But I feel like if he would have went to a halfway house, and that's what we agreed on originally when we met, but we didn't go that route, I think things would have been a lot different. His addiction wouldn't have got as hard as it did now. And I think that he would have been more successful.
So when he came out, did his addiction start right away? Was it the first day?
No, I think it was probably maybe 2 months when we started having our fallouts. He always wanted to research my past. He would always try to find stuff and constantly think I was cheating on him. I was seeing other men behind his back. I've never cheated on this man ever. And that's when he would go to the drugs because it would numb the pain. I never saw him do the drugs. I never was around him when he did the drugs. I would see him on the come down or when he was done getting high. And then I would see him getting delusional, hearing voices, not being able to sleep, him leaving the house, disappearing days out.
How did you feel?
It was really hard for me just because he would disappear. I would go to areas where I would have to find him. He would turn off his phone. Sometimes I would have to go search in downtown to look for him. From time to time, I would find him at hotels. He would like to go to the lake a lot, to the river, to think. And it was hard because I was basically babying a man. I was chasing a man that I wanted him to change. But like I tell anybody, an addict has to want that for themselves. And I told him, I can't want this change for you. You need to get up and tell yourself like you don't want this life anymore. So it was hard for me because me seeing the person that I love, he's on this drug. He's not himself, but he doesn't know how to let it go.
That's heartbreaking. Did you have any history before with anybody who's been on drugs, or was this a first time thing for you?
I had an ex-boyfriend, but his was alcohol. And I feel like alcohol is a little bit different. Like He was a truck driver, so he would just stay home. He would curse people out, but that's pretty much all he would do.
The reason why I'm asking that is because I have a history also. I have a friend that was also on drugs, and I, before that, had no history of it. And I feel like if you haven't gone through it with a loved one, it's so unexpected and it's such a whirlwind of emotion. People often judge, and it's such a crazy roller coaster of trying to love someone who's on drugs.
Meth is like the worst out there. That drug makes people go crazy, things that are not there. He would accuse me all the time saying that he seen me in cars with other men. I'm like, I'm at home. He would just see things that were not there and get so delusional.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. It's so true. And I didn't always know if he was high or not. I'd have to ask him. People on the streets that are on meth look crazy and they're in psychosis all the time, but it's not always. Sometimes you really can't even tell. It's scary, for sure.
Oh, no, for sure is.
So, was there any moments where he confessed anything to you that shifted your view of him?
Let me see on that one.
Yeah.
I think that was towards the end of our marriage. He confessed some things to me where he had recently told me, we talked about 2 months ago. Actually, it's been 3. He actually went into a Christian home to clean himself out because he did outpatient. Outpatient didn't work for us. He went to meetings, then he would keep going back to his addiction. He got really sick about a year ago. I had kicked him out of my house, and he ended up going to his mom, and he was in coma for 2 weeks. I didn't even know what was going on. Nobody notified me. When that had happened, he called me, and he got really sick, and he had himself clean for about 8 months. We had been separated for close to a year. Things were rocky. He would come around, and then he didn't come around. A lot of disrespect started coming towards our marriage, and that's when I started seeing things. Like, I was dumb at first, but towards the end, I told myself, like, why am I going to be with a man who can't value me, who's going to hide me and my son, who's going to pick me over his other side of his family when I was there for him at his hardest time? Yeah, I might have kicked him out, but at the same time, you don't know what my mom and I had to live with. Him getting delusional, him going crazy, him calling me out of my name, treating me the way he did. Like, he was so jealous and insecure. Like, I wasn't allowed to look at my surroundings. He would think I would look at guys. He would get like super insecure, thinking that I was constantly looking at guys, talking to guys behind his back. I literally had to walk the floor with my face down.
Oh my gosh.
That's how bad it got.
How long were you dealing with this? Like, you said that he got out 2 months in is when things started to get bad. He started to relapse. And then how many months till you kicked him out?
I kicked him out a couple of times. I think
Okay.
the first time was maybe like 3, 4 months in. We were doing the whole back and forth for a while. He would leave. He would go stay with a friend. He would go rent a room. And then we would try again. He would come back or he would stay at hotels. It was just a roller coaster. Like he would tell me, okay, I'm going to outpatient. I'm going to clean myself out.
Okay.
But that only lasted so long. And a lot of the lying started happening where he would tell me he would be at places and he wasn't at places. He would tell me, I'm going to go see my friend, and I would hear them, and he wasn't even with his friend. He would disappear for the night. And I like never understood like why. He told me recently, I would lie to you because I wanted to get high.
Which is common. So common for loving someone who's struggling like that. That's the number one thing that they do is try and get into a fight with you so that they can leave and get high.
And then also too, I feel like he didn't go through a lot of healing process from his previous relationship. So I was basically paying what the past did to him, and that was unfair to me because like I never cheated on him. I never lied to him. I was very good to him, and I told him like, that's not fair that you do that to me because that's like me. I should do that to you knowing that I've been hurt in the past. And that's why my advice is for anybody, you have to love yourself.
Yeah.
You need to heal yourself before you go into any relationship with anybody because you're going to treat that person like the next person. And then that could be that woman or that man for you. And you're losing that opportunity because of what happened in the past.
Did you ever reflect on why you kept taking him back, why you kept giving him chances? Do you think it was because you loved him? Do you think it was because your self-worth wasn't high enough at the time?
I think what it was is that I married this man and I married for life. We built a foundation, we built a family. I felt like I had to give it my all and I couldn't give up on this person. And that's why I kept taking him back and we kept trying to work things out. We would get into arguments and then we would always bring ourselves back. But I believe this time around was our very last straw. I recently noticed this too. I did love him, but after he got out, our spark wasn't as strong as it was when he was in prison. Our love faded away, but we just kept pushing through.
Oh, that's so sad. That scares me a lot.
Because we did everything together. We showered together. We'd go to the store. He would cook my favorite food, rub my feet. He would baby me a lot. If I didn't feel good, he would be like, okay, I'm going to take care of your son. When he was off the drugs, he was the best man. He was the best husband. I could never complain about that until this day. And I'll tell him that it's just that when he was on the drugs, he was this monster that I didn't even know.
Wow. And then you've kicked him out a few times and he finally goes to his mom's house and then he goes into a coma and you're not even aware.
Yeah, I had no idea. Nobody notified me. The only way I found out was he called me and told me that he was in coma and he video called me and he had all wires and stuff. Prior to that, he had went for trauma because he was working construction and some shields had fell on him and I had to take him. He actually went in for his hand. He had no function in his hand. We were in there. He hated going to the hospital because he hated being in those places. He never wanted to be without me. I always had to be there with him just because he didn't feel safe. I was always his safe spot for him. If I wasn't there, he never felt safe. And that's just what we always felt with each other. We could have long phone calls for like hours and we can talk at the funniest thing. Like we just had that connection with each other. Even the last couple phone calls, like him and I recently just had, not this one, but the one prior to that. We'll talk on the phone. We'll start laughing like old times because I was seeing that old him not on the drugs anymore. And I got really close to God. I felt, okay, maybe God is giving me that answer. Maybe he is changing my husband. But then more things started coming, more life started showing up where I was like, no, this can't be it. And I kept praying on it. And finally my answers came through.
Throughout this whole period, were there good times or was it all bad?
Oh, yeah, there's a lot of good times. I remember, I think it was like a couple weeks that he got out. He took me to Olive Garden. He used to hate Olive Garden. He didn't like pasta. But he was the type of person, like, he would go to places just to make me happy. If I liked a haircut, he would get it done. If I liked a color on him, he would get it done. He would ask me, do you like how that guy is dressing? I said, yeah, I think that's nice. And okay, I'm going to go buy an outfit like that. He always wanted to impress me and always do stuff to always make me feel secure. I never felt to the point where I would tell you, okay, this man is going to cheat on me. I felt so secure because I could look at him and he couldn't look at another woman, because we were each other's world at one point. But that just like it faded away. He has a bunch of tattoos of me and my son. He has a portrait of me on his left hand. He has my name on the side of his sideburn. So he has to look at that every day, every morning.
And how did this affect your son?
My son's autistic,
Yeah.
so I think it affected him into some point where he was wondering, because for him that was his father. He was wondering, like, why isn't dad coming around anymore? His first year he was out, he did a lot of one-on-ones with my son. He taught him how to shower. He taught him how to do a lot of stuff for him to be independent. So he devoted the first year to my son. I think my son, every time he would see us argue, he would get in the middle and try to separate us, or go to him and tell him, no, don't fight, I'm here. And I think that was the hardest thing for us, because my son has that type of heart. If he can help you, he doesn't want you sad. He sees you sad, he tries to give you a little kiss to tell you, it's okay, I'm here for you. But it did affect my son a lot. And I think he didn't see that, or he was just too busy focusing on himself, that he forgot the foundation that we build.
So then after he woke up from the coma, you said he went into inpatient.
But he was doing inpatient. I think he went in for an outpatient. He did about 2 months. And then he was sick for about a year. He had made me and my mom promise that he was going to go to inpatient. He was going to go to one. We were going to drop him off up in Stockton. Me and him got into an argument. My mom was going to drive him there, and he didn't end up going because he was going to go away for 6 months. He was afraid to be away from me, that I was going to cheat on him and I was going to be with somebody else. That didn't end up happening. He went into a program by himself. I did not even know he went into this Christian home. I get a phone call from the emergency that someone's admitted. I'm like, what the hell is this? And I came to find out it's him. And he called me and told me that he went into this home because I told him, you need to figure out your life, or I'm not going to be with you. I can't do this whole back and forth.
And what was this program like for him?
So this program that he went to is called Victory Outreach. It's a men's home, a Christian home. Basically, the founder who did it, his goals were to get people off the streets, take away prostitution, helping a lot of dofies, getting off the drugs, gang members. That was his goal. I think it's like an 18-month or 1-year program where they go into this home, devote themselves to the Bible, to God, and they pray, but they have a way where they can grow their own church. They're basically living their life to God, knowing who they are. They're not allowed to have phones. They're not allowed to talk to anybody from the outside. They're only able to talk to their kids and their wives for the first year. And that's where he ended up going. And I feel like that was best for him, because he had a lot of healing to do. Prior with him being with me, he hadn't been in any serious relationship. He had girlfriends, but nobody serious to the point how he was with me. And he needed that healing, because he needs to forget a lot of stuff in the past and know who he really is.
Is he still there?
Yes, from my understanding, he is still in the Christian home.
Wow. So you're grateful that he went there?
I am, because I've gotten really close to God, and I found a really good church. I love my pastor's wife. She's so good to me, and I only wish the best for him. I never pawned any death for anybody, even though he did hurt me. He did a lot of pain. He manipulated me. He used me a lot, to the point where he gave me this dream that he was going to give me this world and this and that. And he did do a lot for me. He bought furniture, beds. He always tried to spoil me and my son. And I just wish the best. But any advice that I give anybody is just really get to know somebody really good before you decide to marry them, and actually really get to know their family like very well. And you want to be accepted into their family, because that's the biggest thing. You don't want to go through like that battle or dealing with exes. One person feels this way, the other person feels like this. He didn't know how to set boundaries. He's the type of person that people easily manipulate him. He's a follower. I wish him the best. I really thought we were going to be that strongest couple coming out, and like those videos on YouTube or on TikTok, they're living their best life. I see those, and That breaks my heart because that was supposed to be my story, but that wasn't our story because addiction and lies ruined it.
Do you think you guys have a chance at all, or are you done with him?
No, I moved on.
Oh, did you?
Our last phone call, he had called me and he had told me that he needed to talk to me, and he called me by my name. He never calls me by my name. Like, our last couple phone calls weren't like that. He would tell me like, "Oh, I love you, I'll call you later." This phone call was very weird. He had told me that he used me through our whole relationship. He manipulated me. He's sorry that he brought my mother and my son in the picture. He would never call my son that. He would say his son. So I'm like, this doesn't sound right. Something is super off. He told me that he wasn't the man for me anymore. If I wanted to file for divorce, I could. He's not allowed to file as long as he's in the home. And that was the end of the conversation. He was letting me live my life and wanted me to be happy. That broke my heart. I never expected to hear that from him because I always felt like this is my person, my soulmate. We're going to make it through thick and thin. But no, there's no chance there. I haven't communicated with him, or he hasn't communicated with me. I went to an event about a month ago and he was there. We did not see each other. I seen him, but I don't think he recognized me. Like, I live my life. I gave myself to God, and, you know, he's healing me every day. I'm learning to know this new person that I am. I have this glow. I'm just so happy with life. I can go out. I can wear whatever I want. I can talk to whoever I want. No one is telling me, why are you doing that? Why are you changing your clothes? I was going through so much mentally. I had anxiety because I was living with stress, and I don't want to live that. I can't be with someone who's going to control my life like that. See future with him, and I've closed that chapter. I moved on, and I gave myself to God, and I'm just living life.
Do you know why he came out like that? Do you think he was trying to make amends, or why he would have that type of conversation?
I don't know. It was very weird how he did it because I had to go through a lot of routes for me to show that I was his wife, and my pastor's wife had to get involved. It was very weird. I felt like it was staged, like somebody was telling him what to say. And I told him that because he couldn't answer. And I said, if you use me, why would you do the things that you did? Why would you get me tattooed a bunch of times? Why would you tattoo my son's name? And he couldn't answer that to me. But he doesn't try to reach back out. So I think that he's to the point where, like, he made that decision. And that's fine, because I've always told him, be honest with me. If you don't ever want this marriage or ever want to be with me, at least let me know now, because you could be holding me back for someone else or a different happiness.
So maybe that's what he's doing, is trying to let you find happiness somewhere else.
I think that's what he's trying to do. I wish him the best. The happiness is with him, or he decides to go back with somebody in the past, or whatever he decides. I really wish him the best with his health, because he does have a lot of health problems, and I never wish any death on anybody or anything like that. But it took me a very hard time, to be honest with you.
Yeah, how?
For me to accept, hey, I need to move on. I got to let go of this man. Because I kept telling myself, how can I let go of somebody who I married, who I gave vows to? One day it hit me where I had to let him go.
It sounds like you've got so much peace around it. As I'm hearing you speak, it really sounds like you've found peace within the situation. And it sounds like you've forgiven him. Is that true?
I can say peace. I don't know if I forgave him 100%, and I'm still trying to learn that. Just because there was a lot of damage that he did. I don't know if I can trust somebody right away, if I can open my heart to somebody, just because I'm scared the next person is going to do what he did to me. And that's what I'm trying to do, because he did tell me that I hope you can forgive me for everything I've ever done and caused you. Because he knows, like, he even told me, you're a really good woman, and I know I don't deserve somebody like you. In this generation, you don't find very good women and good men like that will actually do by your side. People are selfish nowadays.
At least he recognizes what he lost.
Yeah, I think he has, but at the same time, if he's not happy, we have to close that chapter and move on with life. I have a lot of stuff I'm trying to do right now. I went back to school. I actually want to be an addict counselor.
What?
Just because, yeah.
Wow. After everything you went through?
Yeah, I decided to go for majoring in that. because just the fact that I know the other side, and just the fact that I know I can change somebody's life, getting somebody off a drug and someone really wanting to change for themselves, and just being around people, positive people, like that's my main thing. I can't be around negative people. I know it's crazy.
It is. As you're speaking, I'm thinking we go through things for a reason and we don't always know why. And I wonder if part of your journey was to go through this so that you could recognize which career you want to go into.
I would say you could be right. That's where I want to do, because I know how hard it is for you to have a loved one that you want them to get off the drugs, you want them to change, but they won't. And that's what I tell a lot of people, because a lot of people feel like, oh, a man who's jealous will never change. He's going to be like that his whole life. I know it sounds crazy. It's just because I went through so much with this man, to the point where he was so jealous. Every time a man would look at me, he wanted to fight them like he was in prison. He'd be like, why are you looking at my wife? Why are you looking like you're trying to eat her? It was so crazy.
So, question, would you ever date someone incarcerated again?
I don't know.
Really? It's not a straight no?
I don't know. I think that's a hard question. I feel like now things are easier because there's tablets and stuff. I'm the type of person, I just go like with the flow, and if I feel like the bond with the person. But I don't know. I think I'd be scared, because what if the person comes home and then I go through the whole thing again? Like they do a whole 360. I hear horrible stories. My story wasn't like in the beginning where some people, when they got out, like they had multiple girls. I didn't have that problem. His was just his addiction. He was just crazy.
No big deal. He was just crazy. But you're right.
He was like super crazy.
And I think it really makes me sad because you're telling the story, and I don't think it was for lack of love. It was just his demons were too big to be able to conquer them. And he ruined what he had with you because of it. From my opinion, I don't think it was a lack of love towards you. I think he really did love you. And I just don't think he was capable of loving you the right way, unfortunately.
Exactly. And that was the hardest for me to accept, because I'm like, I'm not understanding. He gave me everything at one point. I kept putting myself at fault, telling myself, what did I do wrong in this marriage? What could I have done better? He kept on telling me, you are not the problem, I am. And I wish he would have gone through more of his healing when he was in prison, and he would have let go a lot of his past. I think that would have changed a lot of our relationship. But at the same time, this is a lesson learned, and I feel like everything does happen for a reason. I became a very strong person. I went through a lot. I lost myself at one point. I had to go through counseling. I found out that I had PTSD and a lot of trauma from my past. I had to know myself again. I had to rebuild myself for me to be this person again, because one man ruined me and took me to the very lowest. I would go through my depression. Like, I wouldn't eat days out. I was losing so much weight. I didn't know who I was anymore. I wouldn't fix myself up because I was always scared. He would find me, start accusing me, and he would start his craziness with his delusional, blowing up my phone with all these texts, calling me off the hook. We couldn't even talk on the phone. Every time we would talk on the phone, he'd be like, what is that noise? I hear a guy in the background. I was like, look, if you're going to start with your weird stuff, don't even call me.
Oh, he really put you through the ringer. You poor woman. But you came out so much stronger.
I know, it's so crazy. I'm like, what did I get myself into? If I would tell you, like, we would text most of the time, or he would call me, and he'd be like, who's whispering on the phone? I hear another guy. I was like, oh my God.
I love it. So funny. Not at the time, but in hindsight, at least we can laugh a little bit at it.
Oh no, for sure.
What a story. Is there anything you wish you would have done differently?
I should have known him a little bit better. I did ask questions, and I asked his family, so I got to know who he was, but I wish I would have known certain things. Towards the end, I found out stuff that I wish he would be honest with me about it. He lied to people, and he had to come with his truth, because I came in the picture. But I wish I would have known about a lot of people getting in between our relationship, him letting people manipulate him letting people control him, telling him what to do and what not do. And for you to be a real man, you shouldn't have allowed that.
Yeah, it goes back to what you said about him being a follower.
Exactly. I wish I would have known a little bit more than what I knew, but I feel like it is a lesson that you have to learn. My advice is for anybody who's going to have somebody coming home, or if you're with a lifer, your husband or your boyfriend has 5 to 10 years, get to know the person right away. Look at the little signs. If you see somebody who's a little bit off, and I learned things even though I wasn't in prison, but he taught me a lot. I learned how to study people. So nobody will play me now, and nobody will make me feel like, oh, I'm in love with you, because I know when a guy's lying to me. I know when a guy's bullshitting me, just because he taught me that game very well. So that's any advice that I would give somebody. These men can tell you everything. I'm going to give you the world. I love you, the love of my life. And they can be telling 5 or 10 other girls the same thing.
So true.
And that's what I tell a lot of people. Tattoos don't mean nothing.
My husband doesn't have any tattoos of me. I'm like, you still haven't gotten one.
Do you have anything of him?
No. But his 2 ex-girlfriends both have tattoos of him, like his name or his initials or his nickname. So he's definitely gotten women tattooed his name on them, but he doesn't tattoo their names on him.
You might be the lucky one, because he didn't have, the only thing he had was he had lips on him, and then he had his ex-wife's nickname on him. But I was the only one that he actually had name, portrait, and like a good amount of it.
Yeah.
Because he's had girls, like he had a girl who tattooed his whole name
down her throat. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I feel like you don't want me to put your name on me. I'm like, it's got really bad juju. You always hear the stories. Like, you can get the tattoo of your ring finger because we're married, so you can tattoo that on you to let everyone know that you're married.
Yeah, I got his name really big on my left arm, and then on my ring finger, I have his name. It's pretty big, and it has the infinity sign with our wedding date. Oh. I want to cover it up, but I want to put a strong Bible verse on it because it's really big. Because people have told me, like, that's huge to cover up.
The one on your arm?
Yeah.
Oh, no. Yeah, see? Scary. Anyways. Yeah, we can talk about it. It's true though. Although there are some people that I know that have their names tattooed and they're still together. So I guess I'm just being weird about it.
I mean, just as long as you feel like you're right. And then I took a long time. I didn't do it until almost a year and a half. He got my name on his ring finger, I think 5 months after.
Yeah, that's crazy. A lot of people will say, oh, he's got my name on him. And then that justifies that they're forever committed. Whereas they get tattoos in prison for fun, like they're bored. So let's just get a tattoo. It doesn't really mean anything.
So why do you think the people have a bunch of tattoo work in there?
Anyway, do you have anything else you want to talk about before we go?
I know a lot of people have been wanting to know what exactly happened between me and him, just because we were one of those strongest couple and one visit and stuff like that. I just want to let everybody know I'm doing good. I'm strong. It's a chapter that I'm closing, and I wish him the best wherever he's at or whatever he decides to do. Hopefully he doesn't end up back in prison again. And when he gets out of the men's home, he keeps on pushing for his goals. Hopefully my story will be enough for somebody. I did live a fairy tale. My story was one of those fairy tales, but in the end, it was a nightmare. You go into your honeymoon stage, and with us 2 months in, we were good when we got out, and then things just started fading away. The memories are always going to be there. I do have my flashbacks from time to time where I remember certain things that we would do together, certain things he taught me. It took me a long time because I would cry myself to sleep. I would miss him a lot, and I really wanted my best friend back. God gave me that sign to tell me, like, hey, this is not the man for you anymore. I'm going to release him, and you need to move on with your life, and that's what you need to focus on.
It really shows what kind of character you are, because you come from such a place of love, and regardless of everything, you don't hold animosity, and you just want to be happy with yourself. It sounds like you really found yourself. You found what you love, and although this sounds like a terrible chapter in your life, you learned a lot and you've gotten through. And I think that's what's most important here, is that you found the strength to get through it. And I think other women need to hear that it's possible, that things don't always work out the way that we planned. Like, I picture my relationship like you did. And so many people love our relationship and we're always the cute one in the room and whatever, but you really don't know until they come out. Regardless of what happens, you can still get out and you can still come out the other side and you find happiness and make it. So I love that.
And I feel like a lot of people get that.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you so much for joining me. I appreciate you taking the time to be so vulnerable.
I appreciate you having me on here, and it was a pleasure sharing my story with you and talking with you. I wish you the best in your journey. Everybody's journey is different, and it's okay.
I wish you the best with everything, and I hope one day you find someone that treats you properly and that you do not go through this ever again. Once is enough. Take care. Bye.
All right, you too.